Good evening. We have breaking news on our bulletin right now, and it's good news for the 5 Indian fishermen serving a death sentence in the Sri Lankan jail. President Mahinda Rajapakse has agreed to pardon and release them. This is what NDTV has learned from sources. What you're seeing on your screens right now are images of those 5 men, and we're told again from our sources that this is a video taken after this announcement of their release was made. The decision comes days after Prime Minister Modi spoke to the Sri Lankan president, where they'd agreed to transfer the fishermen to an Indian jail. But it now appears that the president has actually pardoned them. The 5 will be released in the next few days, we're told from our sources. Now, these 5 Indians have been behind bars for 3 years. India has maintained all along that they are innocent. In fact, on behalf of the Indian fishermen, an appeal was filed against the death sentence in the Court of Appeals by a lawyer engaged by the Indian High Commission. Now, these 5 Indians were on death row for allegedly smuggling drugs, and it's a case that dates back to 2011. Dates back to 2011, when the 5 fishermen set out to fish from Rameshwaram and were apprehended by the Sri Lankan Navy on charge of possessing narcotics. Sam Daniels following this story. He joins us now from Tamil Nadu. Sam, first and foremost, can you confirm this news? What are your sources in the Sri Lankan government telling you, and were there any conditions for their release?
Well, Sarah, we can confirm based on 2 key sources from the Sri Lankan ministry telling us that the 5 Indian fishermen who are facing death after a lower court convicted them for trafficking drugs into Sri Lanka have been released by the government, and they are being handed over to the immigration officials, who will in turn hand them over to the Indian High Commission in course of time. And although India had demanded unconditional release of these 5 men, we understand that the President, Mr. Rajapakse, was not comfortable granting pardon to these 5 men because they were convicted for trafficking drugs. So he has commuted the sentence, death sentence, to a minimum jail sentence, taking into account that they've already spent 3 years behind bars since 2011. And that way, it paves way for the release of these 5 men. And once they're out of jail, it's just a matter of getting their paperwork done to be sent back home to Tamil Nadu, which could happen tomorrow if everything goes well. And so it's not a complete pardon, that's what our sources say. And there are mixed reactions coming from Tamil Nadu. One, from the hometown, they're quite happy that they'll be able to see these 5 men after 3 years. But politically, many feel that the Indian government, which always believed that these 5 men are innocent, they never involved in drug peddling, and that this case was fabricated, they say could have actually fought the case legally and secured their acquittal, making it clear that they are innocent. Now, in the present situation, they say the convicted tag would remain on these 5 men, which they believe the Sri Lankan government could always use against Indian fishermen later. But certainly, in a sense, it's also a great diplomatic victory for the efforts of the central government, because this had triggered widespread protests down south in Tamil Nadu, particularly over the coastal areas. And also there was political unanimity from the political parties in Tamil Nadu asking the central government to do its best, both diplomatically and to deploy the best legal experts possible to file an appeal, based on which a few days ago the Indian government had filed an appeal. But we understand that yesterday, as a prelude to these developments, the fishermen were advised to withdraw their appeal petition so that this could pave way for the president to intervene using his powers to commute. Sarah.